You're such an asshole.
How you kids doing? We got a question. And I said, "Hey, I don't know. I know nothing about it. On one lucky regard, my what is it? Your mom's father, my grandpa on that side, he wasn't bald. He had a nice set of hair until he died. I think even my dad's father, yeah, old Pop Cleary, he had a pretty good set of hair. Not it thinned out, but if it comes from your mom's dad, I'm set. I'm gonna have a nice pompadour. No one has the Chad Elkins pompadour. I mean, thank God we have Chad Elkins, because if the Russians ever decide nukes, his hair will stop it all. It's that thick. It's that dense. People are like, man, look at that hair. He's like, yes, and it protects us. He's a real patriot. Release the Elkins. Semi-frequent topic, red pill communities, but I still have not heard your opinion on the matter. How should a man deal with losing his hair, and at what point should you just shave it? General advice would obviously get jacked to compensate, but how would you personally deal with having your hairline slowly creep back? Oh, creep back. And how would it affect your perception of yourself? Also, maybe a brief opinion on treatment options, not the specifics, as that's not your specialty. But is it worth the risk of sexual side effects if you take Propecia constantly for the rest of your life, or spend 10,000 plus on hair transplant? Thanks, Walker. All right. And I told, like, I think he asked one of the most unqualified people to give an opinion, but I could tell you about how I would approach it, and that whether it's being bold or short or some kind of thing that's generally not viewed as attractive on women, like my cough, for example. But I don't want to call it a disability. What would you call it? A tick? Some trait that is not becoming. I honestly, like, it's like age. I say that's the closest way I would talk about losing hair, because when you're younger, you don't know. Like, when's it going to start being like the Germans losing ground to the Russians in World War II? When's that going to happen? And you're looking, is that one less hair? But it's kind of like getting older, where I just don't care. And maybe this is a benefit of, like, constantly being in the lower levels of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You got more important things to worry about, like food. I mean, that's a benefit of how I grew up. Is, by the time I was 35, I really wasn't worrying about, hair loss, girls. It'd be like, yeah, financial stability is real good, and I'm eternally grateful I got money coming in and rent is paid. So it's kind of like that. It's like age. You just don't control it. So one thing where I've really mastered the thing of stoicism is I don't care how old I am. I'm as old as I'm going to be. Oh no, I'm 2 seconds older than what I said before. Why fight it? And so that would be my ultimate philosophical approach to baldness. I would absolutely not worry about, because you can't control it. Secondly, I think it's kind of the universal thing, and that's why I put Jason Statham up there. Dude, you think Jason Statham or Bruce Willis or Rich Cooper, even Sterling Cooper, he's got the Phil Collins thing going on. I mean, they just shave it and they get jacked, and I don't think being bald has that much of an effect. Now, if here's your, maybe you want to toss a couple bucks to, and I don't think he has one on it, but Pete, the guy you refused to invite to social gatherings, that's his channel. He does a lot of analytical work on physical traits. I also believe Wheat Waffle does, but I don't know. I haven't really purged through his. I'm just aware of him. I don't know what the actual data is on being bald, but what I have noticed is that if you just shave your head and go forth, that's a hell of a better, like, you get like a little bit of a 5 o'clock shadow, or in case of Rich's case, a full beard. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think it becomes a non-issue with that. And how many of us were like cheering on Donald Trump to just do away with the wig, show up with a good, just like have him grow a beard? Like, why is Don growing a beard? And he just gets rid of that wig and he comes out looking like a WWE badass. Heck, speaking of WWE, Hulk Hogan, he was bald. just shave it. I don't think it's that big of an issue. Now, until we find added data, until it's just like, well, I don't see it happening in the real world. And if this assumes you want to go to the gym, does having a Chad Elkins mane of hair, a nuclear iron shield dome over the United States who protects us all, do you really need that level of hair? And until the data proves otherwise, do you want to go and get treatment? And here, well, I don't know, man. I guess Propecia, that lowers your testosterone then? I heard that you got to start sooner the better, like while you got it, save it. Is this something young men should absolutely immediately go into first thing when they're younger? Yes. Yes. Because I believe some of these treatments, whether it's Rogaine or Propecia, the earlier you start, the better. Here, really treat this like women with their eggs. When I was doing the research for in vitro fertilization and freezing eggs for women, part of the new book called The Menu, Life Without the Opposite Sex, the earlier the eggs are frozen, the higher the chance they have for surviving all the different processes they have to go through thereafter to form a child. So the freezing process, they got to survive that. The thawing process, they got to survive that. The gestation process, I believe, like where they actually, does it take, and then does it result in a healthy baby, girl or boy? But the number one thing of all those variables was like, you're not sure? Freeze your eggs at 18, sweetheart, now. And then freeze another batch at 19, another batch at 20, and another batch at 21, another batch at 22. Well, isn't that expensive? Yes, fighting nature is expensive. Fighting reality is. Well, never mind. We'll get government programs for that. And we'll all have a test tube baby generation. Won't that be fun? But don't worry, girls. Then you never have to have any of that gross sex. But the larger point is that was the number one variable. Start young. And so, ladies, if you're listening, you think you're going to freeze your eggs, do it now. Like, when should I? Well, 10 years ago would have been, but do it now. And for the men, do it now. Go talk to a hair guy. Go talk to whatever, a hair doctor. What's the official medical term? And then I'm sure there's people who are much more educated about it than I am in the comment section. If you could get Rich Cooper in on it, get his opinion. He's incredibly busy, but I'm sure he wouldn't mind having a say or two about it. But I do know, start now, go through all your options, evaluate, and there you go. Another thing you could do is there's image generators that tell you what you look like when you're bald. Like, what would I look like bald? And there it is. I honestly, though, I don't think it matters that much. Like, if you're okay with, I'm going to lose your hair because you're going to lose your hair, and you shave it, you look like a badass with a little bit of 5 o'clock shadow. You can pull off the Statham. You can pull off the Bruce Willis. I don't think it has an effect as long as you're willing to go to the gym. But if you really want, go talk to a doctor now, see what the options are, pros and cons. And then I guess someone was telling me about the Turkish hair implants. I guess Turkish men really want to have a full thing of hair. And people go and I guess they take hair from the back where no one sees it and plants it up front, like literally transplanting a tree. And if you want, go ahead. If it's worth that much to you. But here's another thing. How successful are you with women right now? Like, this seems like an awful lot of worry. Like, if you were getting laid left and right and girls were just tasseling your hair. Oh, I love your hair. Hair. Like, they literally said they loved your hair. But then you look at both your grandpas and they're as bald as Mr. Clean. Okay, maybe you might want to make an investment. But for the average guy, how often are you getting the girls? This was another thing. Like, is this worth your investment in time, given the amount of success you have with women right now? Because you sure the hell ain't doing it for guys. It doesn't affect your employment status, I don't think. Not going to affect your social life. Guys have been bald since the day they are coming out. Are you doing this for girls? And if so, how successful are you with them? You're not? Why do you bother? Just Get the 5 o'clock shadow. And so there are other things involved beyond treatments of your hair that I think are much more important and will outshine it. Notably going to the gym and being tall. Heck, I mean, what are the leg? If we're purely talking an economic cost benefit analysis, if I recall correctly, there's a way to extend the length of your legs, and it's quite involved. Like they got to break it, they got to extend it. I don't know how expensive that is, but compared to expensive hair treatments, I think that same amount of money would do a lot better job just making you taller. I think instead of spending tens of thousands of dollars breaking your legs and growing them back longer, you should say maybe just get some lifts in your shoes. Just my Jewish side of the family there coming in with a bit of wise frugality. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. But yeah, I mean, if you could find it, who knows? Technology's getting to the point. Maybe there aren't any major drawbacks. Maybe you can't keep a full set of hair. But I think that's more than compensated by hitting the gym and having a thinner face, not a fat baby face, looking like you got relatively low body fat. That's what I would think. But then psychologically, I mean, that's a no-brainer for me. Like, you're bald. You're gonna go bald. You're gonna get old. And by the way, everybody, we're gonna die. Don't worry. Don't even lose an ounce of sleep. But I think that's very important. How much energy and time and psychological energy do you want to invest in worrying about this if you're getting laid once every 2 years? You know, and let's say you get laid a lot, but every girl you go out with is a royal pain in the ass. Like there's a paradox. There's an irony. Like Chad really has nice hair, but given his past dating track record, of which is not necessarily a fault of his own, is like, man, it wouldn't matter if you were bald, fat, and short, because all those girls were a royal pain in the ass. It wasn't worth it. Now, he's kind of sort of got himself a nice girl. Kind of, sort of. I don't want to say she's she's very nice. But I don't want to say like they're committed or anything like that. But the up until that time, his hair was kind of academically moot. Yeah, you got girls, but hanging out with your dentist buddy was more of a joy than hanging out with any of those girls. I mean, it really puts things into context. Like, is this worth worrying about given my success with women? And if it's relatively low success, this is not worth worrying about. All right. I'd love to have, I should have gotten Rich on this. See if he was busy or not busy. Steve Heinz, $5. Johnny Sins is bald. Is he a good guy? Like, does he get a lot of girls? Doug Girls. That's it. There we go. All right. We'll see you guys later. Toodles.